Hello, summer greetings to you all. All right, I'm ready to get down to business with week 28. Let's roll. So I've got my photos ready, but as you might see, I do not have a lot of photos. I did a really crappy job taking photographs that may be a familiar situation that you found yourself in. And so my solution this week was to print one extra large photograph, 8.5 by 11. Um, and so I simply sent that image using an app off to my local drugstore and picked it up. And so now what I'm going to do is trim this 8.5 by 11 down into three separate photographs, two 3x4s and one 4x6. So at this point, my greatest challenge is just trying to figure out how or where I want to trim the photograph. And what's tripping me up at this point is that I'm realizing I'm going to have to slice my son's head in half. Oh my gosh, the injustice. Um, so once I just kind of accept the fact that I'm going to have to split his head, it's just a matter of going ahead and making it happen. And it's okay. I mean, it's not ideal. And I suppose if I thought about it in advance, maybe I could have come up with the workaround. But I don't think it was that crucial of a deal. And it's okay. We're just going to keep it moving. So at this point, I was just trying to verify whether I wanted to slice at the bottom or where to make sure the photograph would fit inside of the pockets. So once that trimming is done, I am going to go ahead and continue to work on the photograph and get the embellishing complete. So if you guys have kiddos or nephews and nieces or grandkids, you probably are very familiar with the Pokemon Go craze that has literally hit the globe by storm. And it has been an absolute hoot for me and my boys. We have enjoyed tons of walks in the evening, hanging out, and even my two boys, that because of the age difference, they don't always chat it up with each other, but they have been extremely chatty and talkative, sharing tips and suggestions about how to capture the Pokemon. So I'm loving the app, and it's totally worth it. But anyway, my son and I were on our way home, and he demanded that I stop the car and allow him to jump out so that he could catch some Pokemon that he proclaimed was very nearby. So I allowed him to do this and made sure to snap a quick photo of him standing outside of the car. So I wanted to make sure to include that in this week's spread and thought that it was appropriate to kind of take that particular image and enlarge it. And what I really like about this particular photograph is that you can tell I'm taking it from the inside of the car. So I wanted to keep the car door. You can see I'm creating a title for the photograph, Pokemon Go, using the Allie Edwards letter stickers and also the white thickers as well. And then the last touch is to use some of these Allie Edward chipboard pieces that say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to create a little bit or add a little bit of color to the black and white photo itself. And I thought it seemed a little bit appropriate for the Pokemon Go game itself, where you have to look all over the place to find these various colorful creatures. So I went with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chipboard element to embellish the photograph. So now I'm going to move on and try to kind of keep the creative energy going. And I should note that this particular spread moved fairly quickly, and it only took me 1 hour and 11 minutes. Yes, 11 minutes to complete this spread. So lately I've been having a lot of fun using embossing powder with my stamps. And this week I'm going to use this Kelly Perky stamp that has the days of the week across. And I thought this would be a nice addition to include. And the whole reason that I've decided to start using embossing powders is that very often I think I don't stamp because sometimes just the plain ink can seem a little bit flat to me. By the way, I did step away and heat the embossing powder with my heat gun. But I think sometimes just the plain ink can seem a little bit flat and lacking kind of texture and that type of thing. And so I am really finding that the embossing powders add a nice touch of texture, and I'm really just loving the way that they look. So I went out and bought some additional colors beyond just the kind of traditional white. So this time I decided to use this pale blue, which I thought would kind of pull in from the blue water in the photograph below. And I'm going to include this stamped image from the Kelly Perky, the Kelly Perky stamp on this photograph of my son with the shopping cart. So at this point, I've also pulled out some other Ali Edwards chipboard elements to see if I want to include any of them. And not seeing what I want. In last month's kit, this little this pin came in the kit, and so I thought I'd just pull that out to circle the Friday in the actual stamp. I also stepped away to my typewriter and just typed a few words to include on the stamped image, just kind of describing what's going on in the photograph and why I think this image, this photograph of my son pushing the cart, is an important story to tell. He was enrolled in a summer camp that focused on computer hardware and kind of understanding the guts of a computer and how to actually build your own computer at home. And so at the conclusion of the week, he was totally jazzed and excited and really just begging me and my husband to take him to the store so that he could buy the parts to build his own computer at home. And what we've been trying to do, my husband and I, with my son, is really encourage his interest in game design and maybe computer engineering and that type of thing. And so we want to encourage that. And so we decided to go ahead and meet his request. And so he and my hubby went out and they bought the parts and stuff so that he could begin this process of building his own computer at home. So I think that that's pretty cool, and I'm excited for him. You know, he just finished up his freshman year, and so we're having all these conversations about potential careers and professions and really wanting to encourage those things that he's interested in and excited about. So this particular card then, in the end, it's got a little bit of journaling that begins to talk about that, and then I've got some more journaling that I will include later on a 3x4 card as well. And so that's done. I used the stamp, I used a little bit of my own text, and I also used a Studio Calico printable, and I layered all of that together to complete that 3x4 photograph. And so now I'm going to move on to the title card. And with this title card, I'm going to keep it fairly simple and just slice on the diagonal to leave a little bit of white space at the bottom. And my intention here is to use that white space for the date itself. And so I'm just going to put that down, try to line it up as cleanly as possible. And I do decide to incorporate just a little bit of this thin, shimmery silver tape. I do think that I prefer the thin tapes over the wider width tapes, just kind of adding just a touch of flair. Or in this case, I actually add a flare to the 4x6 card itself, and that's Ali Edwards black and white flare from a couple of months ago. So initially, I did not adhere those little chipboard Ali Edwards elements down. I'm going to go ahead and make that happen now. I feel confident now that I kind of looked at it for a minute or two that those are going to work, and so I'm just going to go ahead and in a very random, scattered, not planned way at all, I stick those down, and then I just round the outer corners of the photographs so that all of the three sections appear to go together. So you can tell I do not round the interior portion of those photographs. So I'm trying to figure out what's next. I'm going to work on this photograph of my son swimming. So what I decide to do is to use these pink Alliette work letters, and I'm going to add swim. He's taking some swimming lessons. He knows how to swim, but he doesn't have great form, and he's not a very strong swimmer. So, he goes a little bit and then he needs to stop and catch his breath. And so I thought it would be beneficial to give him a few additional swimming lessons this summer, just to give him a little bit of assistance in strengthening his skill set. So what I want to do here is say swim strong, but the strong is at the very bottom of the photograph, and I don't like the way that looks, number one. Number two, the Pokemon Go title is at the bottom of the photograph, and so I don't like having swim strong at the bottom of the photograph to the right. So that's bothering me. And this little chipboard element, strong's actually from the dollar section of Michael's. So I like the strong, and in the end, I pull swim off the photograph completely and just include the chipboard element that says strong in the middle of the photograph, which I prefer. But it still needed something because the word strong is a little bit muted. And so I add these very, very slim, thin Studio Calico letters that say be strong. And although it slightly covers my son's body since it's placed in the middle of the photograph, I think it works, and I like the way that that kind of fits with the entire spread. And so I'm going to leave it and go with it. So next up, because again, I've been playing with my stamps. This stamp from, was that Autumn Leaves or something like that? It's a super old stamp. I mean, probably almost a decade old. And I'm going to use this little calendar, and that's just like a silvery, shiny embossing powder. Love it. I think it's my new fave of all the embossing colors. And I did run to the store to pick up some additional colors beyond just white and black, since I'm loving embossing powders. And I don't know if you can tell, but it has a nice little shimmer. So initially I thought that I would kind of use the top half of that Studio Calico card and then the white card with the embossed stamp. But I decide that what I really want to do is cut the embossed stamp out and actually include that as an element on the 3x4 Studio Calico card. So initially I think that I'm going to use these pop squares to create a little bit of dimension, and I need to stop pulling them out. They have too much height, and it just makes my albums just too bulky. And so instead I use a little bit of this cork, because the cork provides a little bit of height without being too bulky. And so with the cork, I'm going to place the stamped image on top of the 3x4 card. But even though you've kind of got those geometric shapes and colors going on the top half, I felt like I still needed another element to kind of finish off this 3x4 card. And so I pull out these very, very old chipboard letters. And I go with us, because can't go wrong with that. Family of 4. And voila, I'm almost there. I'm almost done with this spread. Just double checking to see if there's anything else that I might want to include. Feeling pretty confident that that card is completely done. And so the last step is to go ahead and complete the title card. So I want to double check the dates. And I recently picked up this new little stamp set thingy contraption the other day at the store. And what I'm loving about it is that you can create any combination of words or numbers. And so I spelled out July and also the 11th and the 12th. But most of all, the reason why I purchased this set is because the font is uber large and just embodies awesomeness. Loving the size of the font. So I've got that done. Just going to put a little dot there for the July 11th to July 17th. Going to round up a couple of corners. And the last thing I need to do is just incorporate the week number. So not sure what I want to use to do that. And I decide to go with these large Tim Holtz letters. Initially, I'm thinking that numbers. Initially, I thought that I was going to use the large numbers, but I decide, why not live on the edge and go with the words for the week number. What do the kids say? Oh, the kids say YOLO, you only live once. Yes. So anyway, 28. So I'm going to fiddle with this far too long. I was trying to get the 20 and the 8 kind of to nest together just so. The height of that H was messing with me a bit. But after a little bit of fussing, I get it so that I'm okay. I'm pleased. See, one more time. I needed just to leave it alone. All right, there we go. And that's it, my friends. That is week 28 all done and done. Thank you so much for stopping by and for watching. As always, I absolutely adore and appreciate all of your kind comments. If you have any questions, please let me know. Or even a request. I don't know that I can fulfill your request, but why not ask and we'll see what happens. But until next time, enjoy your summer, enjoy your family and friends, be happy and be creative. Hugs and hugs and hugs to ya. Bye.